Without nature, without forest, we cannot survive. So it's very important for us to preserve, control the nature and conserve forest. No matter you're working in an IT sector, no matter you're a software engineer, no matter you're a doctor, no matter you are an entrepreneur, no matter what, सांस सबको लेनी है. और अगर सांस लेनी है तो उसके लिए अपने आसपास का एनवायरनमेंट प्रिजर्व करना बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. इट्स वेरी इम्पोर्टेंट कि आप सही चीज़ों से इन्फ्लुएंस हो, सही लोगों से इन्फ्लुएंस हो, और इन सारी चीज़ों के बाद आप इतने इन्फ्लुएंशियल बन जाओ कि पीपल स्टार्ट फॉलोइंग योर फुटस्टेप. हम अपनी सोसाइटी के कम्युनिटी गार्डन्स को डेवलप कर सकते हैं, कम्युनिटी ट्रीज बना सकते हैं. वी हैव दिस कंसेप्ट कि हम हमारे एरिया के नेटिव प्लांट्स को एग्जिस्टेंस के परे ना करें, एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज में ना के गिर जाएं वो.
Hi everyone, I'm Shambhavi and today we are here with Sakshi Bhardwaj, who's the founder of JungleVase. They started as an environment lover who turned their backyard into a mini forest with over 4,000 plants with 450 species. So let's learn more about this interesting person. And yes, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself, the organization, and how it all started?
Thank you, Shambhavi, for inviting me over this inspirational talk series of Inspired Dreams. And I really hope that the youth of India that are listening to this particular series get inspired and have their own passion projects getting converted into their professions and doing something for the Mother Earth, or maybe doing some for this Bharat. So here we are with the story of JungleVase. I'll give you a slight brief, insight and depths of JungleVase and how I, as a 24-year-old back then in 2019 girl, converted her house into an oxygen mini station. So it all started when I was doing my master's in microbiology from Parkatala University, Bhopal. And as part of our, course and curriculum, we used to have composting as a practical expertise. So what I did was I tried doing, or maybe tried attempting it in my backyard. And somehow I was successful in processing that particular composting part from the kitchen waste that used to get, created every single day, like in every household. So that particular compost I started using for my plants, and that particular compost turned into a black soil, black gold actually, and my plants started flourishing. So this somehow made me a little bit more inclined toward understanding plant species, or understanding what exactly happens when a compost comes in contact with the root system of a plant, and what exactly क्या miracle होता है या क्या चलता क्या है, हिसाब क्या है इसको समझने के लिए. I became a little bit more curious, and at that point of time, I believed that the universe was starting to, capture me and trying to take me in themselves, or I would say, choosing me to do this particular part. And today in 2023, I'm standing in front of you, sitting actually, and talking about my JungleVase. So that's where it started, composting. Then while I was doing this composting part, of course plants बढ़ रहे थे, उग रहे थे. तो जब पेड़ बढ़ते हैं, you start with the process कि एक पेड़ से हम दो पेड़ बनाएं. So that's how the propagation method started. Propagating plants in soil or propagating plants in water were the two main things that we generally see across, or people have generally heard about. Similarly, I also started doing it. And then at that point of time, while the composting part was already on scale up process, this propagation part also started, getting a little bit more engrossed in this particular hobby of mine. So we used to drink coconut water every single day, and every single person in our family used to drink it. And what exactly used to happen is that these coconut shells, after drinking the coconut water out of them, we used to put them in the compost pit, and over a period of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, the compost used to get ready, and we used to harvest it. But these coconut husks used to stay, intact completely, as shells type mein. So at that point of time, my mother हर घर में मम्मी लोग थोड़ी कलाकार होते हैं, तो मेरी मम्मी भी बहुत बड़ी कलाकार है. सो व्हाट शी डिड इज सेड कि इसमें हम प्लांट लगा के देखते हैं. एंड एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, लाइक एनी अदर 24-year-old गर्ल वुड से, छी ये कितना गंदा लगेगा मम्मी, प्लीज मत करो. सो दिस वाज माय रिएक्शन, एंड ऑफ कोर्स आई रिएक्टेड. एंड एज यूजुअल वो चीज नहीं, मतलब हमने मनी प्लांट लगाया था उसमें, एंड इट जस्ट डिडंट फ्लरिश आउट. बट it didn't flourish out after a period of 2 weeks. But before the period of 2 weeks, it somehow sustained itself in there. So that, made my microbiologist spark in me. And I thought कि कुछ तो चल रहा है, मतलब I could just trigger this thing out and I could make it happen if I wish to. And मेरी विल पावर थोड़ी स्ट्रांग है, तो मैं अगर किसी चीज के पीछे पड़ जाती हूँ तो फिर I just try to make it happen no matter what. Only in the positive directions. So what I did is that I started treating it with the antifungal and the antibacterial properties. क्योंकि पढ़ाई करी हुई थी तो थोड़ा लगा देते practical aspects. And उसको थोड़ा 3 months के बाद पूरा प्रोसेस करने के बाद we had a shell that was completely converted into a beautiful planter. एकदम hardcore बन गया था वो. And then I used the compost. एंड तब तक क्या हुआ था कि मतलब थोड़ा ज्यादा और एजुकेटेड हो गई थी मैं इस पर्टिकुलर एरिया में. एंड आई स्टार्टेड लर्निंग द मेथड्स ऑफ मेकिंग सॉइल व्हेन इट कम्स टू वर्टिकल प्लांटिंग और ओवरहेड जंगलिंग्स, और व्हेन यू हैव टू पुट अ प्लांट इंडोर तब कैसी मिट्टी चाहिए. आउटडोर की मिट्टी अलग होती है, इंडोर की मिट्टी अलग होती है. वील कम टू दैट लेटर. सो आई यूज दैट थिंग, एंड चांस ऐसा था कि वो सक्सेसफुल हो गई. मनी प्लांट अच्छा सा ग्रो हो गया, एंड इट विजुअली ग्रोन अप टू 6 feet तक पूरा मस्त ट्रेल करता गया. So that's how I started using these coconut shells after treating as a planter, and we started using them as a wall, like as a vertical wall. जो आजकल हम all over India or all over the world we see these plastic vertical walls की जो 3x3 के steps आते हैं layering to cover different spots and spaces. I started using these coconut shells, and somehow what exactly happened is that that particular space was absolutely aesthetically pleasing in look wise. And also the temperature drop was somewhere between 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius. And the utility of water was quite less because the shell, the coconut husk itself has the, root hairs of coconut that holds water. So पानी भी कम लग रहा था. Then plant was growing really very amazing because the inner core of the coconut husk is quite fertile in itself. So that's how my module of coconut vertical wall started getting, like crazy. It went crazy. And at my space only, I completely covered 100 feet wall out of all these coconut shells that I used to drink, and my family members used to drink. Mummy, Papa, bhai, behan, matlab bhai, and मैं of course बहन, and my भाभी. So ऐसे पूरी दीवार हम लोग ने cover कर दी, and it started looking beautiful over a period of time. Then people started coming. कोई Amazon delivery वाला आ रहा है, और people are coming across to meet us. So they used to see and they used to be like कि अरे वाह कितना सुंदर लग रहा है. तब ऐसा लगता है ना कि बस ठीक है, किसी ने आपको एक थोड़ा सा मोटिवेट कर दिया, और या ये कह लो एक कॉम्प्लीमेंट दे दिया, तो थैंक यू करके बात चली गई. Then it came to 2020 when COVID hit. And at that point of time, as we all know that every single person came to this point that without oxygen, nothing is there, like nothing exists. You may exist for 2 months without water. You can survive without food for 1 month in extreme situations, but you just cannot survive with oxygen even for a single moment or a minute or a second, I would say. So importance of oxygen was very much into flare up situation back in 2020, जब COVID एकदम अपने मतलब 7वें आसमान पे था. एंड तब मेरा ये जो कंसेप्ट और पैशन था वो भी एकदम 7वें आसमान पे गया. And I started exploring this complete, plant community across foreign and India. And तब मुझे realization हुआ कि ये जो मैं फालतू में इतना उड़ती रहती हूँ, किसी सेंस का नहीं है, बिकॉज आई हैव नो प्लांट्स इन माई कलेक्शन. तब आता है ना, जैसे वो गर्ल्स हैव दिस कि यार मेकअप कलेक्शन है ना. सो आई हैड दिस थिंग दैट कॉमन हाउस प्लांट्स में मेरे पास तो कोई प्लांट ही नहीं है. सो क्या है ये, मतलब व्हाई आई एम इवन फ्लॉन्टिंग माई सेल्फ फॉर इट. सो मेरे से ही कंपटीशन स्टार्ट हो गया, एंड आई स्टार्टेड नोटिंग प्लांट्स species that I want to have no matter what. Now there were many plant species that I have now. तब की बता रही हूँ, from Amazon rainforest or Indonesia, Thailand, Florida, even from the periphery of India as well, जो मिलती हैं लेकिन इतनी आसानी से हमें दिखती नहीं है, या उनको अटेन करना थोड़ा सा टास्कफुल हो जाता है. तो टाइम बहुत था कोविड के फेज में, क्योंकि हम सब लॉकडाउन में थे, घर में बैठे थे. तो आई स्टार्टेड इंटेंसिवली रिसर्चिंग अबाउट इट. And chance ऐसा था कि I came across many people who have this import license that help us, have access to these plants जो Amazon rainforest में grow होते हैं under adverse conditions. So I धीमे धीमे after stocking them for like 6 months to 8 months, I have these plants now. And तब I got them and बहुत मारे मैंने पेड़, बहुत पेड़ मारे, क्योंकि experimentation तो ऐसे ही होते हैं, like you give it a trial and it fails, and then you again push yourself up and get that stamina back कि हाँ नहीं फिर से try करना है. So at that point what happened, I got those plants, and here in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, in the city of lakes, I started collecting them in my 800 square feet of space. That was the backyard. And what exactly happened is that I started collecting them, and I started, acclimatizing them to the Bhopal's condition. I studied कि वहाँ exactly कैसी conditions under which they grow, and basically I mimic those conditions: high humidity levels, or soil conditions, or watering conditions, or maybe the stress conditions, or maybe the airflow conditions. तो मेरे घर में मेरे plants के लिए भी कूलर लगा हुआ है. So people get astonished कि आज की डेट में पेड़ों के लिए, आज की डेट में क्या मतलब पेड़ों के लिए कौन कूलर लगाता है. So still I have it, because to maintain the airflow for my plants that have been from all across the regions. So that's how I started moving in building up a oxygen station for myself in 2020, right after COVID hit me, and I was absolutely in lockdown wala situation, and मेरे को ये कहा गया था you have to rest. तब I never used to rest. I never used to stay back on my bed. I used to keep engrossing myself into the research part. और research part जैसे ही complete होता था, I used to talk with people कि भाई कौन मुझे arrange करके देगा. And after having them back, मतलब sorry for this, गला थोड़ा खराब है. Then what exactly happened is whole this 2020, while I was doing my like I had a job by that time. I was an assistant professor for agriculture, and right after my classes I used to go in my garden and propagate karke and allow them to sustain in those conditions. I started acclimatizing them, and successfully मैंने initial phase में ही 10 species ऐसी थी जो मैंने hardy plants की choose करी थी कि भाई कैसी भी stressful conditions हो जाएंगी, success हो जाएंगी. अब इसमें मैंने खुद को ही ट्रिक किया कि अगर मैं ऐसी स्पीशीज से ट्राई अपना हाथ स्टार्ट करूँ जो बड़ी हार्डी है, उन्हें कितना भी मारने का कोशिश कर लो वो नहीं मरेंगी, तो मेरे अंदर एक कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल आ जाएगा कि अगर ये 10 स्पीशीज मैंने पाल ली तो फिर मैं तो हजारों पाल सकती हूँ, ऐसा. So I was lucky enough to manage those 10 species. They were from the philodendron family or the monstera family, or